Welcome to Hornbill TV's Explainer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Al. Would you be surprised if I told you that there was this organization called the Nagaland Cashew Nuts Association? I know we Nagas are nuts. What about the Nagaland Scooter Owners Association? Have you heard of them? Nagaland is already feeling the pinch of having too many armed organizations fighting in our name. We already know that there are at least 18 to 19 armed groups out there making our lives a little more difficult. Of course, their intentions and goals are very pure, but then on the ground, I think there's a lot of complications involved there. There are also literally hundreds of students units for every city and town, district, village, ranch, constituencies, and even highway areas. We have hundreds of tribal organizations, including their subgroups, employees associations, unions for professionals, to unions for menial laborers, shops and businesses, transporters, fishermen, agriculturists, landowners unions, village and village leaders unions, youth, women's associations. The list goes on and on. The extent we can go to form organizations in Nagaland is simply astounding, ladies and gentlemen. What the heck? Why wouldn't we remember forming an association even for bike owners? Things are really getting out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. It's time we do something about this, really. Just today, a village in Waka district criticized a group that out of nowhere apparently formed itself into an organization amid Amer falcons coming to roost in that area. We'll be talking about this later on. The insinuation here, ladies and gentlemen, is that perhaps they formed an organization just to capitalize from the Amer falcons coming to rest there in their village. The Old Ari Village Council gave the media a statement criticizing the formation of a group calling itself the Ari Old Village Amer falcon roosting site landowners. That's a mouthful, very long name. This group, the council said, has not been legitimately formed. That's what it said. Rather, it was being operated by an individual for personal benefit. That's not my word, that's the council's word. The council's chairman, Lipontang Lotha, had GB Monchumokikon and secretary Yihamo Yantan informed that the council had called for a meeting to discuss the matter in this regard. There are a couple of things here, ladies and gentlemen. First, it is not illegal to form a peaceful, public benefit oriented organization. But again, second, the council also is right. You can't form organizations just like that. There are protocols and you have rules and regulations of the community there, the administrative units, the regulatory mechanisms in place, especially when it concerns anything that may potentially involve public benefits. So what do I mean here by public benefits, ladies and gentlemen? Let's just take one context here to explain that. The context of forming an organization and the Amer falcons in this regard. We could delve into many aspects and try to explain a lot of complex things here, but that would be certainly a very complicated affair. It would complicate the topic and we might just divert from our original topic here. That is the growth of numerous organizations in Nagaland. So for now, let's talk about the Ari village issue to contextualize the meaning of public benefit. When the government decided to protect the migrating Amer falcons that stopped by at Doyang in Waka district, it also brought about livelihood, employment opportunities, and of course tourism infrastructure and facilities to that area. This means special government projects, money, financial and economic benefits will come to the people there. So these are issues that concerns the entire community that needs an overarching community leadership to regulate, to oversee, to supervise and to lead. That perhaps is the reason why the village council decided that the landowners shouldn't have formed any union just like that. But that's a different issue. Our topic here for now is the growing number of organizations in Nagaland. Our state, Nagaland, can't even produce its own pork and meat supplies. We can't even produce our own fish to sufficiently feed the entire state. We can't even produce our own vegetables. But we breed unions and associations like rabbits, ladies and gentlemen. This fact has often been criticized by our government leaders too, and community leaders even in the past, of course. A lot of our youngsters, students, unions and organizations have also called out on this. It's not a new thing actually. Just recently, in September 2019, Nagaland Minister Tamjen Imna Along had expressed concern that the Naga society has become a society of societies and unions. One day we might become the Nagaland state of unions if one day maybe we get independence or something. This culture has bred a culture of blaming, controversy, tribal disputes and tribal toxicity and communal one-upmanship. These divisive inputs are often because of the reason that we have too many unions, too many associations and too many social and political groups pretending to work for the common good of all. Too many hens spoil the curry. While I do not agree with much of Mr. Along's work and social media activism, I agree with him entirely, 100%. I agree with him when he said Nagaland has become a land of unions and associations. Our people no longer remember the culture of work and they do not even know their rights as citizens. That's what he had implied. Whenever something happens, they just anonymously message newspapers and TV channels to speak for them. Hey. And if they are asked to approach the authorities, they just start criticizing the organizations and even the government. Why aren't they saying anything? Why aren't they doing anything? Where are the unions and the organizations? They just depend on their unions and associations to fight for their rights, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Mr. Along said at a college event. Too many unions will be the downfall of Nagaland, Mr. Along said. We are a 90% lazy state, and we do not want to work hard to make matters even worse. Most of these unions and associations are living off the citizens' money. They collect taxes for roads they didn't build. They collect tax for parking lots they didn't even construct. They tax the shopkeepers for shops and commercial mechanism they didn't even build. So if you look at their contribution to the society and the people, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get insights into why Nagaland, our state, in spite of having numerous organizations, barely has anything worthy of being called development and progress. Now the question you had been wondering about, how many organizations are there in Nagaland? Everyone from government, village youth, women, tribal groups, corporate employees organizations, underground groups, welfare groups, societies and health and professional unions. How many are there? Have you ever wondered about this? That's a difficult question actually. We don't know. We really don't know. I'm certain that the district administration has a list of registered organizations. All civil entities are regulated by the Societies Registration Act of 1860. This act is a legislation that allows the registration of entities generally involved in the benefit of society. For instance, those in the education sector, health sector. Then there are the sectors that regulate employment and unemployed groups, etc., etc. A lot of them. Of course, not every organization might not be registered, as it is not mandatory. It's not really. However, it is really required under the act whether an organization is registered. But again, if there is a benefit that can be claimed by the organization in question, ladies and gentlemen, the registration of society under the act is required. Because, for instance, if an unregistered society has to claim benefits such as income tax waivers, it cannot do so and so on because it's not registered. That said, I believe that our district administrations in the state may have a list, and I believe that they are required to maintain a list of every organization that comes up. The district planning board is one of them, and I believe that they are the ones responsible for registering and giving approval to any organization that wants to form itself into a proper group. So if they have, I am sure it will give us an estimate of the number of unions, associations and forums and everything else in Nagaland. So right now we don't know because we don't have the list, and I do not believe that there is a proper record in this regard. So we do not have any numbers in regard to how many unions and associations there are in Nagaland right now at least. But we can have a small idea about how many of them there are in Nagaland with this figure, ladies and gentlemen. Nagaland has a total of about 7,000 societies, 7,000 societies, registered societies, registered with a cooperative department. 7,000 societies. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, these are not unions or associations of these or that, and unions and associations of here and there. 7,000 registered societies, only societies. These are not unions or associations. There are 7,000 registered societies in Nagaland alone, registered with the registrar of cooperative societies of the government of Nagaland. These are only societies that engage in agricultural activities, livestock rearing, rice businesses, thrift shops, all these small businesses, community commercial activities. These are the registered groups, 7,000 of them. These are not unions and organizations as we know. So this is the math. If we have 7,000 societies for even a tiny section of the commercial production sector in Nagaland, such as a cooperative society, how many unions and associations do you imagine Nagaland has? Everyone from tribal hohos and their units, students and youths and their units, women's organizations and their units, business organizations from small shopkeepers to medical suppliers, doctors and nurses, teachers to corporate professionals, police and government employee associations. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, we even have senior citizens organizations. Therefore, we just might be looking at anywhere from easily 10,000 to 20,000 unions and associations of all shape, size, color and purpose in Nagaland. That's a lot of number, and if in case we come across any records that say how many unions and associations in Nagaland are, ladies and gentlemen, you can be very sure that we'll be bringing them to you. Thank you for watching Hornbill TV, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Al. See you next time.